the argument here is, back in the day, like civil rights during those moments, the church played a pivotal role in those things.
For sure.
Like, especially like arming people to vote, preparing them and all those things. Especially black people. And so now the church landscape has shifted. You got more multicultural churches,
right?
Larger multicultural churches. You do have your large black churches, like we talked about Jamal Bryant. Of course, he's going to say something,
right?
Like, should your mega church, your Joel Osteens or your pastors who lead, like Stephen Furtick, should those pastors say something?
I think yes and no, because I'm not one of those individuals that think that you can just ignore the world around you. I'm also not of the belief that God doesn't work in between the confines of man. So I believe that God is the ruler of all. So I think that even our current president, whether you like him or not, I think God has him there. In fact, the word tells us that, right? He establishes kings, queens, etc.
Right.
So with that being said, if God is still concerned with the world, why shouldn't we? You know what I mean? That's my take on it. Now, is that something that we should turn our Sunday sermons to? I disagree with that. That's not for me, because I don't want to be so in the world that I become of it, right? Yeah. But I will say I need to be aware. And I do think that pastors do have a responsibility, especially if you have more than 5 people, right? If you have more than 5 people and you're reaching and teaching to the masses. Stop. If you have more than 5 people, but if you have more than 5 people, I do think you have a responsibility, right?
Yeah.
To get those gears turning to the individuals out there about the current events in the world that we live in today. So I am one to think that it needs to be a balance. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think, you can just turn your eyes to the things that are going on in the place that you live.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't think that, like, God would desire that our leaders ignore injustice.
Exactly.
In all facets, right? In all ways. And injustice in maybe the way that we're going about the war in the U.S., like injustice about what's happening in our communities. I wish there was more of an uproar in policing our neighborhoods, allowing our young boys to be on the corner, allowing them slinging dope and crack, not allowing, but just standing by while they kill one another as well. I wish there was an uproar of the church to connect arms and be out in the streets like, nah, y'all ain't doing that here in this neighborhood. There's Islamic ran neighborhoods that don't play that.
That's right, yeah.
Sure.
But
especially
the church, we just let it go down.
I agree.
And it makes us look weak.
Right.
So I think about things like that. And I also think that every church leader is called to, like, I don't think everyone is called or equipped to handle those issues as well. Some are called to it, some just aren't. We can't scrutinize the ones that don't speak on it because maybe they just don't know how. They don't know.
Yeah, because
like you mentioned a Joel, I think he's just not equipped to speak on that.
Joel,
you know what I mean?
Talking about that,
Joel, but he's consistent, and so you can't be mad at him.
Right.
He's consistent. He ain't talking about nothing. You know
Joel can be in the foxhole. Just the foxhole is, when you go to the army or what have you and you're at war, you hide it. Yeah. So if you're in the foxhole with Joel Osteen, you're good. You're gonna die on a positive note. You agree? That's his thing. Joel ain't about to get into no drama, man.
Yeah, he's just not for it. That's just not his match for him. He's not. I wish I could be like that. Ignore the drama. Like, we need to be like Joel and just be like, I don't even know. I'm just in the heavenlies of heavenlies.
Right, yeah. And because that's a blessing.
That's a gift.
Yeah, I like Joel, though.
I love Jamal.
Me too.
Yeah,
I'm about to say I'm a fan.
I never had an issue. Like I
never at all. Yeah.
They feel like he's just overly positive. And
right. I turn him on. I'm telling you, if you need some positivity in your life,
pep, bro,
pop on Joel.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to be mad watching him.
Yeah, you're not.
It's hard to be
smile
mad.
Is electric. Like
that's
you
right.
Can't hate on that.
Like you can't hate him. Like
before we let you, give your take, TJ. I'm in agreement with you. I would love to see more churches speak on certain things that we dealing with in our communities. I do think that's our job, right?
Real life. Yeah.
But keep in mind, when you're on assignment, you really can't be distracted by the world either.
Yeah.
So whether it's Joel, whether it's us, right? Whether, just us who's making our light shine in the world, we have to keep in mind that that's not everybody's job. So I think the last pod, I was saying how Jamal Bryant, he does pretty well at that. I give him that. He does good at integrating the needs politically with his congregation. Even when I listen to it, he seems to have a good balance, right? But again, I don't listen to him every Sunday, and I don't think I've ever even heard a whole full sermon from Jamal Bryant.
Right, but you talk about concerning the black church, the black community.
Just
like for community efforts, you feel like Jamal.
I mean, he's got our attention.
Yeah, he handles.
Yeah, I've never listened to a full sermon of Jamal Bryant, but that says a lot because he's gotten my attention when it came to political issues of what's going on the planet. I mean, in our local community, let alone the planet. But be mindful, Jesus. The only thing I can think about him ever talking about politically is render Caesar's was Caesar. So Jesus wasn't spending his time thinking about political matters either because he was on assignment. So let's just be clear. And I just looked at Jesus as the ultimate,
But that's the argument, though, because they'll say there's scriptures that back that we should be speaking.
I think we should. Even me saying Jesus didn't doesn't mean that it's not right.
Yeah,
because a lot of people
totality of scriptures. There's other figures and forefathers that absolutely hated injustice,
especially in the Old Testament, right?
For sure.
Yeah, in the Old Testament, for sure.
Right. I mean, Moses went about it a certain way, but that was the presentation of.
That's right.
I don't like this injustice. Stop doing this.
Yeah. That's a great example.
It just went over. It just went extra mile,
and
that's an example of sometimes you can't control your fury or your rage towards injustice, and so it has to be the right people to do it. Otherwise, you're running into solitude somewhere. You gotta disappear for a while,
bro. Yeah.
So, what's your take, TJ?
My take? Yeah, y'all about to hate me. Personally, I don't think that every pastor should speak to these things. I mean, you going back to your take about Joel Osteen and even saying like, Joel's positivity. That's his ministry. Like he came from the jump and said, "Look, I'm just going to be straight positive. I don't care what nobody else is doing out here in the world. Like,
I love it.
Every time you see me, he's going to crack a joke. He's going to be himself. I don't think that it's every pastor's job to do so because it wasn't Jesus' job to do so either. Now, granted, Jesus did speak to like he was talking about, render Caesar what Caesar.
Yep, you got it.
Things. He did speak to other matters that were a political stance, such as like caring for orphans and taking care of people and things like that. That's the church's responsibility. To Khalil's point, to Drew's point, which is being in the community, having more of a community presence and a community look, and having more impact in your community. By making sure that if someone's selling drugs on this block, that you're speaking to that, or you have some type of relationship with these individuals and whatnot to try to win them back over.
Correct.
But these are community issues, not necessarily political issues.
I mean, because I think about like the church at large, like it's members in the church that be like, "Oh, these people need to speak up," but you won't tell your nephew he tripping.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You won't tell your niece, "Hey, I'll be seeing you hopping in and out of these cars, baby girl." This ain't, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you want the leader to tackle the most daunting task, and you're not tackling the task of your family. Right.
I think ultimately, though, like I'm with you, TJ. I think that to say that God is not using some people when it comes to political issues is insane.
Yeah, he's definitely.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
That's the truth. It's about what God called you to.
For sure.
Because so many people are one-sided when it comes to political issues.
Yeah.
You know, and I think those who do very well at it still maintain integrity concerning God's views, right? While getting the message across of whether it be equality and justice, etc., of what's going on in our current world. My problem is just when believers think we're supposed to turn a blind eye to anything in the world. Back to that, like, you know, you can't.
I was about to say that I also don't agree with that.
Right. Yeah.
Too,
yeah.
Just act like nothing's going on.
That's nonsense. Yeah.
And, you know, as long as you get your program done on Sunday.
Right.
As well.
It's so like, we're in the world. This, you know, henceforth, while we have cults that go, you know, 7 acres into the woods and build a little castle, right? That's why we have cults, because they usually stand on the premises of, hey,
what cult you talking about, bro?
you drive back. It's a little path and it widens, and you go 12 miles. You pull up, everybody smiling. It's like, you know what I mean? That's why we have that. They believe that they take that, you know, be in the world but not of it, which is true, but they take that a little too far,
to the extreme.
Yeah, now they got you in the gully of the mountains under, you know, with goats and you know what I mean? So I just think that at the end of the day, it's for, if that's what you do, or if you have passion for it, right? Let's say if you have a passion and a heart for it, and God has called you to it, you do need to do that. Go ahead. That's great, because God, I'm a believer that God has, how would I say it? God has members of body of Christ in every genre, every position. I don't care, from the White House, whether you under the bridge sharing crackers, you know what I mean? Can't afford to live in a house. I think he has people on assignment everywhere.
Yeah.
I do.
I also think it's kind of, just to play devil's advocate a little bit, I think it's a little bit of a slippery slope, but it's also a little bit of a challenge too, because yes, pastors, leaders should know what's going on in their community. They should be very well aware of what's happening in their communities, speaking to these things and all that stuff. Which goes to my point, was like, that's a community issue, not really a political issue, but it does become a political issue once it gets to those levels of the people who govern and all those things. But to your point, every pastor is called to their area. Yeah. And they're called, and they're burdened for their area. And they're called to do certain things. Like, say for, like, every time something happens in like political sphere in the world, people believe that their pastor should be saying something about it. Like, with this situation, like, people believe, like, yeah, pastor should be saying something about, you know, the Supreme Court's ruling and how it's taking us all the way back to Jim Crow era. We're not back in Jim Crow. Like,
yeah, that's number one.
Really not.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah,
we're not being hosed down. We're not being chased by dogs. Like, we're not doing none of that. So,
agreed.
First of all, even if it came to that, there's too many YNs out here who would
basically. I'm gonna turn into one. Let's be clear. I'm gonna be. What would it be? It won't be a Y, and it'd be a Owen.
Owen.
Yeah, it'd be an Owen.
Yeah, right. You on now? You on stage?
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Ewan.
But there's too many that wouldn't let that fly. And
agreed.
Honestly, our mindset is not like that, like it was back in the day. And it's not to say that they didn't have that mindset or anything like that. But I just don't think that it's necessarily important for every pastor to say something, especially if that's not their lane, if that's not something that they're comfortable talking about, because they could say the wrong thing and then the whole church is split, or they could say the right thing and then the whole church is still split, or they could say nothing and the whole church is still split.
I mean, you're not gonna make
so
people
it's like
happy.
You're not gonna win
exactly,
regardless of the situation. However, I think that you go with the vision that God gave you. You be led by the Spirit. If God prompts you to say something, then say something. But I don't think that it's every pastor's job to speak about something. Like, I'm not expecting Pastor Jim Bob of Glory Road Fellowship Baptist Church in Coates, North Carolina, to say something about the Supreme Court justice.
Right. Yeah.
12-member flock. Like,
that's my point. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. I'm not making it even funny. I'm just being real. It's like,
y'all in these numbers. Y'all in these numbers.
I mean,
it's no shade, but it's not. I'm not expecting.
Bless you, bless you, 12 and 30.
Yeah, and I guess for me, when I bring up the number, if you got 3 people, then obviously they think like you,
right?
So exactly. That's all I'm saying. The lesser, if I got just 4 followers, we all like the same ice cream. I mean, you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Versus 400 people, you're gonna have a bunch of people in there that has different political views.
Right.
So it's not, to your point, it's just not important for me with my 4 followers to be talking about the injustices, et cetera, of the world when we already agree on what we eating for dinner tonight.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Exactly. And that's my whole point. Now, for pastors who have a great influence,
that's right.
I think, yes, you have to say something because of the fact that you are an influential voice to the nation. And there's only a select few. That's right.
It's only a select few, bro. Yeah, exactly.
Do that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not expecting, going back to Joel Osteen, not expecting Joel to get up there and say, "Hey, everybody,"
right?
The smiling and talk about the Supreme Court thing.
His voice
isn't that influential in that nature, but it is influential in others.
It would crack me up if Joel stopped his. If Joel said, "Stop killing those black boys," like. I would be so caught off guard.
Yeah, because that's not his flow.
How impactful would that be?
Yeah,
for people to speak up on injustice.
By the way, since we're talking about Joel,
right?
Y'all see how he preached with like so much fluency? Like he don't stop.
Yeah, he's anointed to do what he's doing, man.
He just go.
Been doing it for so long. Like
it's just like it just keep coming and going.
Yeah, that's his gift. I like Joel. I'm telling you, I got no problem with Joel.
Yeah, I got no problem with Joel, even though
let Joel rock. He could be on the TV in the house.
Hell, all that stuff. I don't think so. I think
wasn't he mad at him for something about not opening up his church for something?
Yeah, the flood during that hurricane,
doing something like that.
But to be honest, I get it, and this is why I get that, and I know a lot of people gonna hate that. Like you should open up your church and blah blah blah. That's a multi-million-dollar.
Mess your church.
Okay.
See, it's all fun and games till you built that church. You get what I'm saying, right? You let them in your house and listen.
Right, let them in your house. Like
I'm telling you,
$multi-million.
People nasty.
I ain't gonna lie,
I'm telling you,
thinking about stuff like nasty. I know people. I know how they can be in your spot and they don't have no home training.
I'm telling you,
so all these other things and then before you know it, you looking like. In the world,
right now. Here's what I would hope. I would hope in the event it was his members, they could come there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean,
but because it's their house, right? It's all of their house. But when we talk about just,
he probably was like, "Yeah, y'all too, man.
Yeah.
Listen, we're gonna figure. We donate to that organization right there for this reason.
But that's a big decision. That's why I never judged him on it.
You can't
because I'm not in that position.
You can't go in there heavy.
Yeah, you got to be in that position to say what you would do
for sure.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, because like remember, like it took them years to get the Superdome back after Katrina, like to get that back up and going. I mean, so many people died there. It was so much. So to me, Joel probably thinking of it from that perspective, like there's a lot of people like to open up, but at the same time, like it's a huge church, like. Could it accommodate? Yes.
People gonna be stealing. You got to prepare for something like that,
and you don't have to, security, and they trying to take care of their family and friends and loved ones and stuff. So like,
they might not leave.
Right. So it's a lot that goes into it. It's not just a split decision. Like, yeah, let's open the church,
and that's where I gave him grace.
Yeah.
When something like that happens and you're not prepared, that's a tough decision.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just good to be still.
Yeah. And that's the point I was going.
He was still.
I'm glad y'all brought it back to my mind. Thank you, Holy Spirit, and thank you, y'all. Because when we were talking about the Charlie Kirk thing, people were like going in on the comments. It was like, well, they ain't saying, pastors ain't saying nothing about the black boys doing X, Y, and Z and blah blah blah, or they ain't talking about blah blah blah, but they gonna talk about Charlie Kirk. I'm like, did you talk about these things on your platform? Because I just scrolled your page, I didn't see nothing.
Right.
And I got one girl like that, and she was like, "You right. I take that correction." Because it's like we get so enraged with certain things and expect people to say certain things that we not going to say. Yeah. Especially when we have the same platform to say those things.
What are you talking about though when they said they weren't speaking on? Or
so that was like
what was it? What's the context of that?
So remember when Charlie
right
he passed?
Right.
Well, a
a lot of ministries were speaking.
A lot of ministries speaking up about
Got it.
But they weren't speaking up about
what other things, tragedies were happening. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. Right. And so, or what was happening at that time too, because it was something else that was happening. I can't remember, but I was like, "You're not talking about it. Why you put that pressure or that onus on pastors to talk about it when you're not doing the same thing? You got the same platform. You can post a video right now, and it'll hit."
I mean, people was talking about it though, but just maybe not the people they wanted to talk about.
And then keep in mind, in that predicament, if you even say anything that favors him, they're going to automatically say you are for him. When you ask someone like me, I'm never going to condone that type of violence, assassination, whatever you want to call it. And I don't think he was a martyr. I'll be the first to say.
I don't think so either.
But at the same time,
that will piss a lot of people off.
It will. Yeah, it's like, he was a martyr.
I know it pissed some people.
Yeah, it did. It's like,
some people off.
I've actually seen some people that like met recently around that time, because remember we were new here around that time, so all this stuff's going on, and I saw people like, he changed my life, and I'll never be the same, and this is like, and I just was like, I was conflicted, because I was just like, man, y'all revere him like he was Christ.
And for some people, he did win their souls. Let's just be real.
Yeah, and
because that's how powerful the message of Jesus Christ is.
For sure.
He did win some souls. Shout out to him, because everything else, I'm one that believes that everything outside of Christ isn't going to last. Yeah. I think it's here today and gone tomorrow.
Facts.
That part about what he did, I think will last,
That's beautiful.
But he was, if we're being honest, from even, I didn't really, I started catching wind to some of his stuff.
Right.
Maybe like a month or 3 before he died.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't always talking about salvation.
That wasn't his whole, that wasn't his whole push,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I don't think the person who killed him in the name of Jesus.
Right.
You get my point? So that's why I say, we gotta be careful when we start throwing people up on Mount Rushmore like they died for their faith, etc.
Yeah,
I do think he stood for, he made it clear where he stood concerning faith.
For sure.
That's a fact.
Right.
Whether he was hypocritical or not, I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
Right. But I will say he definitely stood for Jesus Christ. But the person who pulled the trigger didn't think of Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? When he killed him, that was all about political, worldly events, realistically.
Yeah, and even an argument to that I've seen other pastors talk about, even on podcasts and stuff. But it's like, well, if you say that he was assassinated for his worldview, then where did he get his worldview from? The Bible. The Bible was what shaped his worldview. So if you kill him for his worldview, then you're killing him for his biblical beliefs.
If that's what they want to say, again, for me, it's neither here or there. If you want to put him up there, go ahead. I'm just saying. I
just personally don't think that he was assassinated for biblical beliefs.
No, I don't think so either.
We know that majority of his biblical beliefs were biblically based, but they are very leaning on the conservative side as well too. It would be, it's easy to be like, I personally don't even consider Dr. Martin Luther King to be a martyr, because he was a reverend,
right?
He preached, he did all those things, and he did a lot of things that lean more in our world today liberal. So would conservatives consider him a martyr for the faith because he died and his worldview was backed by his biblical beliefs and those things? It's like, would that be a fair assessment? No. That's just me personally. I don't think that. So
no, I'm with you.
I'm Charlie with you. Kirk in the same category with Martin Luther King and say that they were both martyrs that died for the faith. No, I believe that Martin Luther King and Charlie Kirk were both assassinated, and they were assassinated.
That's a fact. Yeah,
that's where we draw the
John
line.
F. Kennedy, Malcolm X. These were cases of assassination for sure.
Right.
Now, again, I think that gives us our answer. Martin Luther King, who's a Muslim. Martin was a Christian.
You about to
really get people.
Oh my God, they ready to. They ready to. I
told you,
he don't know nothing.
I really missed the fact growing up.
Right. But Malcolm being a Muslim, Martin being a Christian, neither one of them died necessarily for those views of their personal, like their faith. Though both of them made an impact in their faith as well.
Right.
They still died because of what they were trying to bring, the idea that they try to bring to the world.
Yeah.
The people that marched with them were the people of their faith. So it just
that's a fact.
To the
that's a
this
fact.
is all
Yeah, you
Jesus
you
movement
can't.
or this is all an Islamic movement.
Exactly.
That wasn't the case, right? So, but yeah, I agree.
Shout out to them too.
Yeah,
They
shout out to
got
them.
us all of them. You know, Martin and Malcolm definitely are a big part of why we are where we are today.
I mean,
shout out to them.
Reasons why we can have these cameras.
Oh yeah,
phones.
And that's an honorable death.
Yeah,
now that's an honorable death.
Yeah, 100%. Be on Al Gore's internet.
Right.
So
that's good.
Yeah. So I think that it's just a lot to that. I honestly just think I don't think pastor should be able to do that. So you're a pastor. You are aspiring pastor.
No, I'm not.
All right, it's so good. Come over here. Hey, just get your vest. That's what you need when you.
You're a worship pastor. We're gonna put that.
Yeah. That's
worship pastor. And associate pastor right now, currently associate pastor. Would you, Khalil, would you address these issues as a pastor directly to your congregation?
No, not directly. If the Holy Spirit prompts me in the message or the word for that day, sure, I don't run from it, but I'm not the one to get into the political side of things. That's just not my thing. You know what I mean? So my answer is no, meaning I'm not preparing for that on tomorrow. Like that's not going to happen. Will I talk about current events? Yes. Have I? Yes. I think that's a must. Mentioning certain things that's just clear wrong is a must. Whether you red or blue, you know, Democrat or Republican, you have to mention some things because regardless of, again, political views, we have to stand up for humanity first. And that's where I stand. I'm always, you know, to me personally, both sides have policies that are built for the wicked. So you're never going to find me swaying to the left or the right. That's me, right? But I'm always going to stand up for injustice. You know, I am the type to risk it all for somebody I don't know. By the way, that's me, whether good or bad, right? You know, I'm going into the store and it's like, yeah, right. I'm that's just me. That's a built thing in me. So with that being said, I'm always going to stand up for injustice. I'm always going to speak about what's right. You know what I mean? Regardless of what somebody's personal opinions are, I think we all have an obligation as being human, like being in the kingdom of mankind. I think we have an obligation, no matter what you are, to speak up against wrongdoings. Yeah. So long answer, but short answer, no, it'll never be a primary thing for me in general, but I will address it. Or address a certain situation, especially if I'm like tying it into us being rooted as believers in such an uncertain time as of now. Yeah. Because you're a pastor, and a pastor you do as a pastor when you're leading a flock, right? For us, you have to make sure you should be able to temperature gauge what the people are feeling, and you should know what is in the households of those that you're pastoring. Yeah. And with that, you gotta address it if you feel it. And you should be in tune enough to feel, hey, some people got anxiety right now. We're at war. Israel's going down, people dying. You gotta have the antenna inside, right? The Holy Spirit connection with your people to know I gotta address this. It's a shaky times right now. Yeah. So I think from that perspective, that's a must. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I'm like you. I wouldn't address it unless I'm making like a statement, like maybe prior to preaching, and saying like, "Hey, such and such is going down. Like, let's have a moment, like not even a moment of silence, but let's just pray, you know, and handle it that way." Versus tying it into a sermon. I think whatever the Lord gives you to speak on, that's how you flow with that. I think you speak on it based on expert experience towards it and things like that. But personally, if it's me, you know, I'll make a statement. We'll pray. And if anyone has questions afterwards, we can talk through it afterwards. But I think the sermon itself should strictly be whatever the Lord gives you. Yeah. And you keep it that way.
That's right.
That way you address the elephant in the room because, like, let's be real. Like, some of these situations are elephants in the room. People are going to be upset. People are going to be hurt. People are going to feel some type of way. I think you address it in a way that not PC, but so that it calms everybody's nerves. where it calms everybody's doubts or fears or whatever, so they can stay in the spirit or stay in the mode of whatever's happening in the church and continue to allow the Lord to continue to do work on their heart.
That's right.
That's where the sermon comes in, because now you should tailor your sermon not to the event or the situation, but really to the spirit.
Agreed.
What's happening.
Agreed.
By saying like, okay, spiritually, this is what's taking place. How do we respond as Christians? How did the disciples respond? How did Jesus respond?
That's right.
How did these different individuals respond? This is how we should shape our lives in this world and start doing these things that way. Not having to have a knee-jerk reaction to every single thing that goes on. It's, because, I mean, if that's the case, you're going to be preaching something every Sunday about something.
Yeah, you're being governed by the world at that point, and that's not... Right. I can't attend a church that's being governed by the world, you know?
And I'm not doing that. So, I mean, I'm going to preach what God gave me to preach. I'm going to speak what he told me to speak.
That's right.
And if there's things that I know that my congregation is really struggling with, we're going to address it. We're going to address it head on. And then we're going to pray. And then if y'all have conversation, you have questions about things afterwards, let's have that conversation. Let's talk. If y'all want to grab coffee, let's go grab coffee or something. Like, if y'all want to come over to the house, come over to the house. Let's talk. But, for the service in general, for itself, I think that is so sacred. And it should only be, a safe space for people to come in and encounter God, to not worry about stuff that's going on in the world, to lay those things down at the altar or before you get into the church and just encounter God in that space. I think that we've gotten to a place where we've de-emphasized the emphasis or the power of church in that way, to where we feel like we got to address so many issues, versus actually getting into the presence of God and allowing God to really work on your heart and to really do some things in your life while you're in the presence of God. It's not ignoring what's happening out there, but it's also saying like, hey, the whole world could be going to hell, but in the house of God, this is the place where Jesus said, my house should be a house of prayer.
That's right, yeah.
Always encounter me. Like, you will always have a place to go as a refuge, as a safe space, as a safe haven, as some place that you can go and escape those things. That's what I feel about the house of God.
Hey, good word, by the way. And literally good word. First of all, that was the word right there. Because, in a nutshell, we are to be grounded, be steadfast, be unmovable, always abiding in the word of the Lord, regardless of what's going on this planet. A war starts, we have to address it. Well, I don't want people to. You just gave a word. I don't need you as my pastor. I need you to know. You do know what war going on, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. But like you said, once we address that, now we're listening to the Lord for instruction on what's our posture in this time for however long the duration of this war is going to be. And that's it. Anything deeper, if you're not called to do that, leave it alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're just opening up and stirring up strife. And now they might as well be in the world. They have Fox News and CNN for that.
Jesus.
You know what I memean? Right. Pretty much. But I agree with everything you just said, and I really mean that. That should be our heart posture. And even that right there is for people to hear and to be secure. Every word you just said.
I think you be obedient. You listen to the voice of the Lord, and you speak about. And if you speak about a thing, you'll speak about a thing that impacts all people group, right?
Right.
So not just our community, but everything. I grew up kind of like that, where I just hate bullying. I hate injustice. That's the heart of God, and so I'm going to address all things that displeases the Lord. But I'm not going to spend a sermon's time on it either, right? And so I agree with there's moments to speak about. You can not want to plan to address it, and somewhere in your sermon, the Lord say, hey, speak on this thing. So I think it's important to just be obedient, to really be locked in with the Lord. And like you said, and have a sensitivity or an affection for the group that you're shepherding, that you know what's happening amongst these people.
Right.
That they in your trusted voice.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you cannot want to speak on a thing, be like, I'm not speaking about that. Like, somebody else got it.
Yeah.
But the guy's like, no, I need you to prevent strife right here.
That's right.
And your voice to settle this disagreement. I mean, that's biblical, right? Bringing it to, hey, we have a dispute. So you could be speaking about a thing at that time to squash a dispute, and you don't even know. You know,
exactly. So, and that's what the Lord does when you're a pastor, a preacher, a teacher. The Holy Spirit is using you in ways you don't know.
For sure.
And usually, if you do have the Holy Spirit, once you're done preaching, every once in a while, somebody tell you spoke to a situation in their life that you'd ever had a clue about what they were going through. So that's. I think we all on the same page. We think if that's your lane, if that's what you do, cool. But you better be able to do it.